Okay, so now my colleague Gat is gonna present the master call because Martin, as he just said, it's a bit sick and voiceless, so we don't want that to get any worse. So please, Gat, I give you the floor.
Thank you so much, Lydia, and thank you all for joining. My name is Mohammed Gad. I'm Academy Officer at EIT Urban Mobility. We'll be joined here by Anna Leganel from Project Management Office. We have Martin Vendel, Director of Academy. We have Giovanni, as Lydia had mentioned, is the head of the Master School. And of course, Lydia, thank you so much for hosting this. Do you mind going to the next slide? So this session is just a Q&A session. We had an info session after we launched the call back in November, and that is available on the call website. So you can find the call manual, you can find the recording. So we hosted this Q&A session as we had some interested applicants who had some questions. So we will go over that, just some few housekeeping rules. The session is being recorded as Lydia mentioned. Please keep your microphones muted and use the Q&A chat box to make your questions. For the first 15 minutes, we'll just have a quick presentation of the call, and then we'll open the floor up for participants who have questions. Thank you. Can you go next, Lydia? Yeah, so the EIT the EIT Urban Mobility Academy Master School started back in 2020. We now have 3 programs running. The third program is just starting this year. We have 2 very successful programs running between 8 leading universities across Europe. Our programs are focused on innovation and entrepreneurship. That is a big part of all of our educational learning offer at the Academy. We offer a double master's degree education combining challenge-based learning and training in innovation and entrepreneurship. Students usually study between 2 different universities in 2 different countries, entry and exit. And they work on city-based mobility challenges, participating in a 2-week summer school in 2 different European cities, and we can go over that later. Next slide, please, Lydia. So the call opened the 6th of November and it closes 15th of January with the communication of results in March 2024. Projects are meant to start in April 2024. Of course, we have 5 main activities within this call. We expect that most projects would last around 9 months until the end of 2024, but some of them will be long-term projects, like joining the existing master school program or starting a new master program. The total funding for this call is 1 million euros, and the minimum co-funding expected is 20%. All projects are expected to have a financial sustainability plan, and we are open for applicants, either mono-beneficiaries or a consortium. Of course, if anyone from the panel wants to jump in, please do. Just unmute and go for it. Next slide, please, Lydia. Okay, so this call, as I said, has 5 main activities. The first one is summer schools. So we already have, as I mentioned, existing summer schools that the students have to participate in. It's a mandatory part of our master's program. So we're looking for partners to develop a 2-week summer school following our summer school structure, as I mentioned, in 2 different cities, 2 different countries, and aligning with the master school schedules and accommodating up to 45 participants. This includes, of course, internal participants from the master school and external participants, depending on agreement. The second scope, I'll just go over the scopes really quickly. The second scope is developing and implementing new master programs. So we're looking for new master programs that last 2 years and have 120 ECTS in length. Again, in 2 different countries, entry and exit universities, so 2 different universities, complementing our existing offer and focusing on innovation and entrepreneurship. Of course, this master's program needs to be aligned with the EIT Label Handbook for degree learning, and this is available on the call website, of course. The third scope is new universities joining the existing Urban Mobility Master School programs. So we're looking for proposals from universities to exist the master school offer. So we have, as I said, 3 master's programs now. The first one is Sustainable Urban Mobility Transitions. The second one is Smart Mobility Data Science and Analytics. And the third one is Business Engineering in Urban Mobility, which we just launched this year. Again, whichever university that plans on joining needs to be aligned with EIT Label Handbook requirements. And as I mentioned, these programs are quite different, but in a way complementary, and that's what we're looking for. We're not looking for programs that cannibalize our existing learning offer, but rather to complement. And they target different types of students, different backgrounds, but within certain, let's say, outlines that we set in the call. The fourth activity is Innovation and Entrepreneurship programs. So we're looking for existing I&E master level programs with a minimum of 60 ECTS in length to join our EIT Urban Mobility Fellowship model. We already have a fellowship model. You will find this in the call, of course. And we would like to support existing programs to join us in that. And this would be a program that results in a master's degree and aligns with the EIT Label Handbook, but for fellowships. The last one, I'm just being a bit more conscious of time. So the last activity is summer schools for bachelor students. So this is, let's say, something that's a bit different than what we've been targeting so far. We usually work with master students or students at a much later stage. But this time we want to start targeting summer schools for bachelor students who have finished their second year of bachelor studies. So we're looking for partners to develop and implement a summer school for bachelor students in urban mobility lasting 1 week, and making sure that it involves local industry players and accommodating between 30 and 40 students. Of course, these five activities can be presented either by a mono-participant or a consortium, depending on the activity and depending on who's applying and what's the plan. But most of them are meant to be for a consortium. And the numbers that are mentioned here, the indicative funding per project per year, this really depends on the project. For the summer school, for example, the first summer school, activity 1, we have 150,000 euros targeted for a project. But if you go to the second one, it says 30,000. 30,000 is just the start for the project to be implemented. But if the project is approved, if the master's program is approved, funding will be allocated in agreement with the master school leadership and with the master school agreement. So then more funding is allocated if the program is approved to be implemented. And of course, you can see here there are indicated number of projects to be funded. This is depending on the proposals we get and how we manage our learning offer and our business plan. And that's it. Lydia, could you go to the...
Yeah, just maybe to emphasize that, because it was maybe slightly misleading in this slide now when I look at it, that for the second and third, it's for the planning for the programs, as you said. So this is not per year; it's just for the first year, and then it's something totally different. So this is just the funding for planning the programs, and then after that, we talk about budget based on number of students, etc. And also for, just to say, for the third one, the fellowship, the funding there is for the admin at the university, but the actual budget for the program for students and activities is also much higher. So just maybe to emphasize that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Martin. Of course, the details of the funding are clearer in the call manual, and it's good that we have this Q&A in case anyone has any questions, in case any applicants have any questions about the funding. Some of these things are sometimes difficult to understand from the call manual, and that's why we're here to explain and clarify. And of course, everything that is in this slide is indicative. It's made for presentation purposes, but of course, the details of the call and basically the point of truth that any applicant needs to refer to is the call manual. And if there's any questions, you can reach out to us. You will find emails. We're going to share our emails at the end of there we go, exactly. Yeah, thank you, Lydia. You can also reach out to us through these emails to kind of let's say get the final answer, the clear answer. And yeah, so from here you can find emails to reach out to, whether for details about the call itself at Academy Call at EIT Urban Mobility below, and then PMO for administrative and financial rules related to the call. If you have issues with Plaza, the platform that we use to submit proposals, you can use the service desk email. If you have, if you might also need to use the EU portal. I think this is it for me. Lydia, I give the mic over to you.
Yeah, Gat, this is all. Then here, as Gat just said, we added the disclaimer just to make sure that in case there's some information that might be misleading on the presentation, everything is well explained on the call. This is only a summary of it. And of course, like the call is way longer than this presentation. And now we will just open the floor for any questions the participants have. You can type on the Q&A box and we will be replying to those. So we will give you a few minutes to do so. So, okay. We have one question that I think I will read it aloud. It says, hi, in preparing the application on Plaza, we can select the area academy, the call, second academy call, and the segment. But where can we select the scope of activity? In our case, the MSA3. I think that these questions should be for Anna, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
So Anna, please jump in.
Yes. So basically, you will have to insert information about the activity that you are addressing in section 3B in the first question. So there is no selection button for this question. If you go to tab 3B, then you will see in the first question that you will be asked to say which activity you are addressing through your proposal.
Okay, I think that was good. We got a thanks from that. So thank you, Anna. So as I said, like if anyone has any questions, please just type them and we will be reading them out loud. Again, for MSA3, does the budget of circa 20K include or not the co-financing? I think I can answer to that, but I will leave it to Anna too.
Yes, actually, when we refer in the call manual, when we refer to amounts, we always refer to EIT co-funding. So the 80% that we put into this call. So 20K means only EIT funding.
And it is also really important to mention that in this case for MSA3, as Martin mentioned at the beginning, it does include only the money that it will be given at the beginning to get things started at the university. But then, of course, once the proposal is accepted and ready to be launched, the program at your university, you will sign an agreement and there will be more funds for this. Okay. Again, for MSA3, which is the direction of the project, 1 year, April 2024, April 2025, or up to December 2024, or up to, well, which is the direction of the project for MSA3? Anna, I think.
So from our point of view, we said that projects can have different durations or up to 9 months or up till the end of December 2025. but I'm not sure if there are some restrictions with regard to in relation to certain activities. Maybe Martin can provide more information about.
The thinking here was to have the planning budget for 2024. So that's up until end of 24. Will when the program then will start? It's more tricky question, because that's depending on local conditions. So it may be in some cases that the university is able to take in students from 25, but in some cases it may not be possible. So then it may be later. But the 20K should cover the planning, so that we can take a decision whether the program can join the master school. The portfolios, we take a look at the portfolio perspective on that. Then when it actually starts, that's a later question, and then it will be budgeted from when the program starts. So that's depending on the start date. What year will actually the program start?
And I think that the next question is related also to this one, because it's about the co-funding. For example, for 2024, we said that it will be 20%, and for 2025, it will be 25%. This is the general approach. But if they apply in this call with 20% co-financing and only for the development of the program, and then for the execution, will it be 25%?
The execution is based on the master school agreement. So then we move from kind of the project to the master school agreement, and that's all the universities in the master school are paying the same amount of co-funding for a specific year. So that will be, if they start in 25, that will be 25% co-funding when you run the program. But that's, now we only talk about this planning, the contribution, financial contribution to be able to do the planning. So that we only talk about the first step. And in that case, we talk about 20% for 24.
Okay. Thank you so much, both Anna and Martin.
Maybe Anna, just, there is usually a question always coming up about co-funding. So even though no one asked it, maybe we should cover that. There's always this question of in-kind. What is actually co-funding? What is counted as co-funding? Maybe you could elaborate a bit on that, because that's usually coming up.
So, yeah, I remember that we had extensive discussions about this. I'm not sure if I can provide now the details that I provided previously, but basically the in-kind contribution is eligible in the sense that it can be in any of the cost categories, but it has to be included in the budget. And based on the budget, on the total budget of the project, then the co-financing percentage will apply. So this is the, let's say, in general terms.
Yeah, and I think the most common thing we see is that people contribute with hours, personnel, as co-funding, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Another question I got was if the partners of multi-participant proposals have to be based in 2 different countries. This is, I think, in general, creates a bit of misleading sometimes. So, Martin, I think that will be.
Yeah, no, that's if there is a new program that needs to be at least 2. The minimum is 2 organizations in 2 different countries to launch a new program, or a summer school. Then you may ask, so what about these categories where we only have 1 participant? Well, in those cases, it's actually an existing program. And in all the existing programs, we already have 2 countries. So that can come from wherever, so to say. When it comes to the fellowship, we also there have single organizations applying, but together they will form a group of universities, and we foresee that will cover 2 countries. So I think the only case we have here is either the summer school should be 2 cities in 2 different countries, and we have a totally new program for the master school. It should be at least 2 organizations in 2 different countries where at least one university should give the first year and a second university should give the second, the last year, the exit year. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Martin. Another question that we've gotten also quite a lot, it's how the fellowship model works and how do the students finally get their certificate?
Yes, this is something new that we have tested now. So the idea with the fellowship is to follow the student, the fellow, rather than the program. But we do a portfolio of programs which are prepared for the student to be able to get the certificate, so to say. So we look at, you send in suggestions of programs to join the fellowship program. And what we tell the students is, if you take this program, you more or less have everything you need to be able to get the certificate by the end. Maybe not 100%, but it may be additional summer school or something else or internship or so needed. So we ask the student to prove that they have fulfilled everything they need to get the certificate, while in the ordinary programs, the ones we have today, is rather the program. If the student just have followed the program, it's for the school to prove there was a student following the program. So this is the kind of different model with the fellowship. What the university is doing is to, when the students are starting this program, they offer the students to join the fellowship. And if they sign up, then we will follow them through the program, and they should then send all the supporting evidence to us to be able to fulfill the certificate. And there is also a small scholarship or bonus by the end for the student when they have completed all the compulsory parts of getting the certificate.
Okay, thank you, Martin. And another thing that actually has created quite a lot of like trouble lately, and many of the questions we have also been receiving are about the traveling to the master's, to the summer school. How does it work, and what are the proposals supposed to be paying? Are they supposed to pay for the trip to the first city, and then like from the trip to like the second city to like a final destination? This is quite a messy, I think, area in general.
May have been some misunderstandings there. I think it's stated in the call, but maybe we were not clear enough. So what should be covered by the budget is both the venue and the accommodation and the travel for our own master students. But we also have room for other students that are external, and they pay their travel by themselves. Maybe this is part of the confusion there. It's part of the students there. It should be budgeted for the travel to and from the summer school, including the travel within the and within the summer school. While for external students, they pay for this themselves. So that's why you see different numbers sometimes, that we say one number for one thing and one for the other, because it's 2 different categories. So sorry for that if that was not fully clear.
Okay, thank you. And then another question that I think it's I think I have gotten this question like at least 4 times. Do you need to be an EIT Urban Mobility partner in order to apply for this goal?
No, not to apply, but to get funding from us, you need to be a partner or a member in EIT Urban Mobility before getting the project started and be eligible to get funding. And there are different categories of partners. You see that in the call. So you can absolutely apply for this, and then if before anything is started, you need to be a partner in EIT Urban Mobility.
Okay, thank you, Martin. Let me check if there's any other question. I'm just sending something to someone. Okay.
One question I got, by the way, and that was that what if we now do the planning and we come to the conclusion by the end that this will not work out? Do we have to pay the money back to the 20K to us or whatever it is? No, that's not the case. But of course, we hope not to see that happening. And that's why it's very important when you do the proposal now that you try to be as elaborate on all the key elements of running the program. So we also can make a fair assessment if we believe that this can fit the portfolio programs. So put as much thinking into this upfront rather than think about we plan it later, because we need to make sure that it's doable and it's a good fit, etc. And that's of course how it will be evaluated. But we can in some cases come to the conclusion that either we or you come to, even though we have done the planning for a year, come to the conclusion that no, this is not for us to do now, or is maybe something to do later. But the budget is still related to that you delivered the planning, so the planning should still be there. But then what the conclusion may be by the end, that's a different story.
Another question, how does the approval process look like? If my proposal gets approved, how will it look like? What process will I need to, like each university individually, need to do to get to the point of like actually joining the master school, for example?
Well, the number of that's a PMO question partly. So Anna, you have one part of that, and the other part is for us. So there are, if let's say it's a new partner, it has to be a partner in the EIT Urban Mobility. There are agreements to sign, both the Moscow grant agreement, etc. So that's one part of it. The more formal, maybe you would like to say more about the formal part, Anna.
Yes, I can only say that basically before we approve the project, all the new partners should be onboarded. So basically there will be an onboarding process before the contracting of the project. This will happen before the contracting.
Then we have the other side, is more operational side of this, and that is this university will then join the group of universities. There is all the universities are working together for the ordinary master school, but also the fellowship one. There are regular meetings. There is also a question of for the ordinary master school, there is a question of admission. There is a process to be a role to play in the admission, etc., etc. So many practical things there. But if we just take it from now, let's say we now start with approving a proposal for a new master program. Then we have the planning, so that will, if it's a new one, it should be 2 universities, and then we come to the end of this, and then we see what the planning looks like. There we will look at, evaluate this again from both a portfolio perspective, how does this fit the overall portfolio, but also it will also be looked at from if we believe that the plan is possible to materialize. So there will be this second stage approval. Once that is taken, then it's a question of agreeing upon when should this start, because there are practical things with the whole admission process. So usually we need to have a program to start the next fall, should be more or less ready latest early fall the year before, because we open up the admission by the end of the year before. So there is a bit of time lag here that we need to take into account. Hopefully we can sort this out. So in that case, we can also, if someone has done the planning very fast, coming year, for instance, 24, we may be able to put that into the process for students starting 25. Maybe not, then it will be a year after that. So there are a number of steps before we can get this ready. If it's a master school program that should be integrated with an existing program, then there will be a lot of interaction with the existing universities, because you have to agree upon that what should your university be, an entry year or an exit year, and what other universities will it fit with? Because when we look at the programs, there can't be any gaps between first year and the second year, and there can't be any overlaps. So that's something that's nitty-gritty details about the curricula, agreeing with the other universities and so on. So there's a process and a homework to be done there, and that will also take some time, but that's something to kind of be looked into as soon as we have approved such a planning process. Then we need to integrate this with dialogue with the existing universities in that particular program.
Okay, thank you. Another question is, if the master program starts in 2026, as it is more likely, how does the funding look like? Because on the call it is stated that is 30K per year. So that means that each year the university will get 30K to do their internal administrative process, or is it only a one-time grant?
Well, now the plan, the budget here was for the planning. So let's say we start later on. Then there are some elements. It's actually a lot to discuss here, but there are elements for if a university is leading a program, there is a budget for that. There is local program management, a budget for that. There is a covering of tuition fees, but that's a formula which we shouldn't go through here because but in any case, it's there are money per student, so to say, both related to what the existing tuition fees are today. Not saying that we cover all of that, but we cover part of that. There is also other fees per student. So in essence, we more or less we cover more than the tuition fee in total. And we also support the admin and management of the programs financially. That was a bit vague answer, but actually it's a rather complex thing that we can go through in detail later on.
Okay, thank you, Martin. I don't know if any of the participants have any other questions. Please just type them on the Q&A box and we will read them out loud. If you prefer to talk, we can also give you permission. So just text us on the chat and we can let you speak.
Yeah, maybe I can I can add a couple of comments here. And I would really invite all participants that are planning to apply for our call to really look at the current activities of our master school. As the head of the master school, I would like to remind everybody, we already have 8 schools that are currently part of the master school in EIT Urban Mobility. And so it would be very important, in particular for those universities that are planning to submit for either the suggestion of new master programs or joining an existing master program, to suggest how their school would complement the existing universities already on board, both geographically, in terms of content, in terms of focus of their program. So really we can make the master school more complete and stronger, and so we can complement with different type of skills and additional disciplines that can enrich the program. So I would really recommend not only to read the call carefully, but also to check our website, see what are the schools that are currently part of the master school, to see what are really the current activities that we do, and so they can propose how to expand them.
Thank you, Giovanni.
Maybe just add one thing there. Thank you very much, Giovanni. Was that I remember I got a question. Yeah, but for new programs, can you do some matchmaking and find a university that we can work with? And to be honest, I'm not fond of that. So I think it's usually much better that you work with people that you trust and that make sense in this context, rather than we try to find a university for you that you don't really know, because that will be a long way to get to know people, and also in this context, as this is a bit complex. So I would rather urge you to work with people you already know. If you are thinking about the new program, if it's hooking up to an existing program, we will facilitate the dialogue with the existing universities. But if it's a new one, I rather recommend you to work with people that you already trust and you have experience from working with. Yeah.
Thank you, Martin. I totally agree there. Sometimes it can be really difficult to try and set up a proposal and to start like a partnership when you don't know the partners before. Of course, like if you're up for the adventure, go for it. But it can just like complicate and delay a bit the process. So as I said, if anyone have, because I think that we have a couple people just joining, if anyone have any questions, you can like type them in the Q&A box, or you can ask us on the chat for permission to unmute, and we will solve your questions. So I will give it like a couple minutes, otherwise we will close the session soon. Just in case. I don't want to let anyone like half typing through a question. That's really annoying.
I'd like to say something before we close this session. So two things. One is that we have published an updated call manual. Okay, it was published like 22nd of November, almost 1 month ago, but please make sure that you read this updated manual, not the initial one. And second, because the holiday season is coming, maybe if you contact us, it's better to put both email addresses so that you make sure that someone is reading your emails. Okay.
Anyways, we will all be back the week before I think the call closes. So yeah, we're hoping not to start working the new year with like 100 questions. It would be nice not to, but of course you're always welcome to contact us, and we will just do our best to solve your doubts.
Where will we make this recording available? Will that be on the page of the call, or?
Yes, on the call page, it will be available. Once, yeah, probably by tomorrow.
Yes. Okay.
So if no one has any more questions, now is your like moment of like texting us and be like, please, 1 minute. Otherwise, we will just close the session now. I'd like to thank like Gad, Martin, Giovanni, and Anna for joining us today and for explaining us the call a bit better. And I would like to thank our attendees too for being here and for showing their interest. As we said, you can contact us on the emails that were presented before. We can probably type them on the chat, Kat, if you don't mind, before we go. And then, yes, we look forward to working with some of you. We're a really nice team. And yes, thank you so much, and have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you all.